Hello and welcome to another Twitch stream. I usually do YouTube streams, but as I've said in the last Twitch stream, I'm trying out a few Twitch streams at the moment just to keep this account active over here. So I've not really got any plan for what I'm going to stream apart from it's going to be a MAME. I'm probably just going to play games I like. I've done this very quickly and basically unannounced, so there's nobody waiting in the chat yet as far as I can see, so I'm just going to get on and start playing some games. So if anybody joins, I'll try and say hello if I see you. So go vertical layout and coin this one up. This is Popper now. Looks a lot like Cubert, but it doesn't play that much like Cubert. So, you know, I think they must have been going for that. But whereas Cubert has diagonal movement only, this you can jump left and right. And you can still jump off the, well, it's not a pyramid in this case, but you can still jump off if you're not careful. You can still jump diagonally, so you've got actually a full range of movement. But rather than a Cubert, sweary boy Cubert, we have this hopping bunny. We're not doing too well, so let's kill off this credit and try again. Now this is actually it's by Omori Electronics. They've done a few games. Most of their games are quite uncommon, so chances of you actually seeing this one in the arcade back in the day, slim to none, I would have said. There you go, Omori in 1983. So nice and early, nice and early. Not too early, but still nice and early. You know, when arcade games are always trying to do something a bit different. Now you'll instantly see that unlike Cubert, the platforms are actually animated in this and moving up and down, which is a nice touch. And you can jump on the enemies from above to get rid of them. So, up over there. And there we go. See, that's the first level done. All the tiles hopped on. All of them changed colours. But then you see the perspective changes a bit. But for the second level, it's not so much a pyramid. It's a more traditional overhead look, and now you can't jump on the same squares even if you're jumping from above. So do keep that one in mind if you're playing this. It does mix it up a bit. Also, if you jump in the water, you teleport. So it doesn't kill you. It's not a hole that will kill you. It's a hole that can get you out of trouble, and you'll see the enemies seem to be doing the same. So not too tricky. But yes. Hey, Ranchaka, welcome. Do I also do reverse engineering and coding stuff? No, I tend not to, because I can't really concentrate on coding if I'm streaming, and trying to code and things like that also bogs down the PC and will just cause, you know, the stream to desync and everything else. So, you know, I don't want to be trying to compile stuff using 100% CPU time while also streaming, and it just gets messy, and the process is not predictable in any way. I mean, I could sit here and not figure anything out for days, and that doesn't make for interesting streaming. You know, I don't know the exact moment I'm going to figure something out when I'm reverse engineering things, so it doesn't really make sense in a main development sense. So I just like to show off some of the things you can run in MAME and recent progress from time to time. So, you know, if it's something has been improved or even regressed, sometimes it's important to just highlight them. There might be an issue in some upcoming versions. I do like to cover that, but the actual process itself is too unpredictable. It's not something you can put a, oh, today this is going to happen, tomorrow this is going to happen. It's a process that just sometimes you'll have that eureka moment and realise you figure something out, and the chance of that happening on a like 2-3 hour stream is remote. So if I do get into sort of developing some software for, say, the 8-bit computers, I might show progress occasionally on that, because that's a different process, a much more lightweight process, and trying out game ideas and stuff like that on the stream once I'm up and running with some sort of setup like that might work better than reverse engineering. But now I'm just doing a quiet little gameplay streams on here. obviously this place is better for gameplay videos, just general streams as well, rather than presentation videos, because if I want to do a proper video about you know, a big piece of progress and comparisons, then those videos will be recorded offline, put on YouTube, and which doesn't really work for that, does it? It's more a watch this person playing and have a chat, which is all good. But no, I think Popper deserves a bit more love than it gets. It's nothing special, it's nothing too fancy, but it's got, you know, a variety of different scenes. Not sure what you do on the bonus stage though. I do like these change the colour games. There's a few of them. If you think about it, they're not that far off Pac-Man. It's just instead of eating dots, you're changing the colours of squares. But you don't really have a strict maze, you have a grid. It's all the same thing, just, you know, covering a certain area of the screen with your character and avoiding the bad guys. It does end up looking a bit like the TV show Blockbuster though. But yes, obviously there are different mechanics, like having to make sure you jump down on enemies and not up on them. But let's give it one more go and then we'll see what else we're going to play. I don't know if I'm going to be doing entirely arcade things on the stream either. I may end up looking at some obscure computers. Some of this is just also like a warm-up for the actual YouTube stream. Just want to play a few games, get into them a little bit more, and feel more comfortable when I actually go back and play them another time. I played this on stream before, but not for a while. Shut off at once. So here we go. I think the difficulty ramp is quite fair on this one. You can usually complete the first stage without any real issues, second stage likewise, and it seems to get trickier. But I have to keep in mind this is another one with a bunny as well, because around Easter I like to do sort of theme streams and you know, do a bunny stream, and it's easy to forget that this game has a bunny. Maybe it should be obvious with it being hopping around, but you know, for all I remember, it could be, remember, a thing on a spring type affair. Hey Jake, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. So you caught me on one of the rare Twitch streams. I hope you're doing well. So yeah, I'm just playing a few arcade games at the moment. Well, I'm playing Popper, a 1983 game from Omori, which looks a lot like Cubert, but I don't think anybody's ever heard of. I think I may have helped out the emulation that's back in the day, but I don't know. I don't think I did much if I did. No, I helped out with some of the Omori ones, but possibly not this, and it's one of those where the driver was rewritten a few years ago as well. So any code I did write for this one won't be a MAME anymore. Now the fruit does seem to be an invulnerability thing, so if you get that at the right time it can help. I'm good, I'm good. Today I just thought, well, I couldn't get to sleep very well. I was trying to have an early night, a bit of a tiring weekend, but it's like, okay, I'm not actually ready to sleep, so I'll just fire this up and play for an hour or two. But yeah, otherwise I'm doing well. I saw you put some of your photos up and some of your glitch art up earlier, which is pretty cool. So you can not tell what that one was meant to have been in the first place if you hadn't put where you'd taken it. Definitely quite heavily glitched, but you can see some of your artwork is in the background of the stream though. The kaleidoscope that was my face originally is behind the MAME Haze logos, so you know I did show you that before and said I was going to try and make use of it, and there you go. I do like my own sort of glitchy art for the streams, so you know, thank you for the image that I manipulated into something else again. So we're on round 5. We're doing quite well here. So that was silly. It does not stop you jumping off the pyramid though. Well, you know, There we go. They got a top score. I broke the 10,000 mark. Yeah, I mean, if you do anything else like that, I'm quite happy to try and sort of merge them into random backgrounds, because I do like to mix up these backgrounds and just give the streams a fresh look every now and again. So I do appreciate that. Let's swap to another game then. Let's swap to that. Let's swap to one that I always enjoy playing. This is Butasan, Pigs and Bombers from Jalico. I almost played the CPC version of this on the previous YouTube stream, actually, this one. Speed up. Because it's got a really good CPC port of this one. But I didn't get around to playing that. I may play it in another CPC stream. But this one is, well, picking up the bombs and throwing them at the other pigs in a bit of a giant deathmatch type situation. So, you know, pick that up. If you hit it, I immediately died. Some pigs take more hits. Some duck out the way. So if you find the bombs that are running low on time, place them next to them, it can be a better strategy than trying to throw them at them if they're going to duck under the way. Duck out the way. Snobbish Bluffy. There we go. It's telling you how these different pigs behave. So they say they all have different behaviours, which is I think one of the things that gives this game a bit of character. If you look at something like the original Pac-Man, that's why it works as a game, because all the different ghosts have different characters. So your different coloured pigs on this one all do have different behaviour. They act in different ways, and you have to build a strategy around that. And I just gassed everyone. So if I can get these bombs near them while they're on the floor with the gas timer, so they explode, that will help. So don't stand next to once they explode yourself. Damn it, I dislike red pig and white one and everyone too. That's because I died. I shouldn't be dying on the first stage or the second stage. Does have a bit of slowdown. The Z80 was maybe a bit underpowered for this game when it came out, but it doesn't really affect it too much. In fact, sometimes it can help with it, because if it gets really hectic, you want the slowdown. I mean, it's not like it was designed into the game like the cave ones, where without the slowdown it's unplayable, but it does help a little bit. The backgrounds are quite plain, you see just a repeated pattern for the most part. But yeah, it just works. The games with bombs do in general, and like Bomberman are exceptionally popular. Anything that's got a timers counting down. I'd say Bomb Jack too, but the bombs aren't really your main enemy in Bomb Jack. Bomb Jack bombs are harmless. They're just how you've got to complete the level is to collect them in that case. Bonus round. So this is the sort of whack-a-mole style part of it, where they pop out the flowers and you go and give them a whack. Strange bonus game to have in this game. So yeah, I think I'm probably going to end up doing some games I enjoy playing, like this one, like Popper, and maybe the obscure one. I don't know how long I'm streaming for. So keep this channel active over here, as well as my YouTube. But I know most of my audience is on YouTube, so I don't expect too many people tuning into this one or even watching it on replay, unless I upload it to YouTube. But I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to have a quiet little stream. The slowdown. The slowdown. Don't stand next to the bombs on zero. It's a fairly good hint. And also, yeah, if you're close but not too close, you'll just get knocked over. This doesn't always work in your favour because obviously you're stunned. Oh. Brownie is lazy. Too many chocolate brownies. I think this game needs a proper sequel. I think the closest NMA ever did to another game with loads of bombs was Sabaton Bombers, but that was a platform game, and that one is brutally difficult. It'll be broken. Something like broken records. It'll be broken the record. Something. I guess it means someday you'll get a high score. Maybe. Or I don't know. Anyway, that was Butasan, a fun little one. Now let's look at a really, really old one that did have a recent emulation improvement. This was just the other day. Dodgem by Zaccaria. Now this is a complete copy of Sega's Head On, really. But from the Italian company Zaccaria. There were a lot of these copies of Head On. Its original code, oddly, it doesn't seem to have any track mode. It just cycles this over and over again. So you don't get an idea of the gameplay. But basically, it's just Head On with a dodge and car theme. So eat all the dots. And it is worth noting that these did come out before Pac-Man. A lot of people would go, oh, Pac-Man was the first dotting theme game. It really, really wasn't. All these head-on style games came before Pac-Man, and there you go. Before, when you crashed, it did a glitched graphic instead of the correct graphic, and now it does the correct graphic, and it's not a huge deal, but I suppose accuracy is good, attention to detail is good. Well, that didn't seem right, I'm sure I collided with the car in the other lane there, but I don't really know what happened there. I'll have to look at that one on the replay. Unless that's a feature of this game in terms of where you're allowed to be. But yeah, you just go around in circles trying to get the dots, and you get the flags as well, and it gives you some bonus points, I think. It does have hardware collisions, which is why I'm a bit suspicious about whatever just happened with that collision there. Maybe they're not quite perfect. Anyways, I will look at that on a replay later, because I don't think many people play this one, because if you want to play head-on, just really play head-on. You don't need to play the Italian clone version. And I guess it's called head-on because of the head-on collisions. You're always travelling straight towards your opponent, and you hit them, it will be a head-on collision. But in this case, it's called Dodgem because it's not the real head-on. I'll play one more credit this, but there's not much else to show. I just wanted to show the little fix right there to the crash graphic. Here we go, round and round we go. Fortunately, at this point, one left. Can we get there? No, we can't. almost completed the first maze. But this is my last life, I think, now. So, unless it's it might not be actually. I don't know how this penalty. I get a penalty if I do the loop without collecting anything. That's a different mechanic. Losing points because I don't play it the way I like. Oh yeah, you do. It does this traditional lives in reserve rather than that being the last life. But again, I'm getting penalties for something. Come on, stop docking me points. I'm trying my best here. I'm going to get 100 points for the flag. And lose 100 points on a penalty. Right, so yeah, that is Dodgem. It did see a recent improvement. An Italian game, probably an important part of Italian gaming history, really, because Sakurai did do some other significant and much better games. In fact, we can play one of them. We can play Cat and Mouse, which is actually one of my favourites. So this is a Sakurai game, just a few years later. This was 82, the other one was 79, so three years later, and they've come up with a much more original game with lots of jolly tunes in it. There's garbage at the top of the screen though that we really need to slide up or stretch up on the floor. So the idea of this one is to get the mice back up into the mouse holes at the top. And you can shoot them and it gives them a little nudge in that general direction. You're also going to be careful of everything at the bottom, because the ones at the bottom will try and grab your tail. The dog will try and get you too. The dog. Nope. And if all the bottom ones fill up, yeah, the mouse will get you that way too. I can't think of any other games where you're trying to do this and trying to push mice back into mouse holes. So, visually it's a bit like Frogger with the different holes at the top, but it plays nothing like Frogger in terms of gameplay. I didn't get out of the way of the dog in time. Well, let's continue. These are all older games I'm playing at the moment. I might look at some new ones a bit. Now there's a second set of this game in MAME, which seems to be much more difficult than this one. I don't know why, but it seems like a much more difficult game. Maybe they tried it in arcades and people found it too easy, or they tried it in arcades and people found it too hard. I'm not sure which is the newest set. I think the more difficult one's the older one. I'll get a different tune on this level. The food numbers changed to it. It all remains the same though. Get the mice up there. Try and conserve the food to get more bonuses at the end of the level. We can let it get eaten. There we go. The classic slice of 80s game. Just classic slice of 80s game that a lot of people haven't heard of, because it's an Italian game, so unless you're in Italy, you likely didn't see this one. The dog gets faster. Oh, and I wasn't watching the bottom, so I got my tail grabbed. The life of a cat. I will say it's better than the cat game we played on the Amstrad CPC stream the other day. I put a game called Pause on, which was terrible. Pause was just going to search for your lost kittens and take them back to a base we couldn't even find. Yeah, this game is frantic. Mouse wins. in Dirty Turbo mode, but we still finish the level. But yeah, this should have been bigger. This should have been a massive hit everywhere. Hey, Mr. Fun Guy. Welcome. It's a quiet chat, so I mean, I don't know if Jake's still here. Jake, who helped me to the stream artwork. Ransacker. Those are the only other people who've spoken, so I don't know. But welcome. But yeah, I know it's going to be quite stream because it's on Twitch. But it's a stream where I'm just going to play games I like. I've said I like this game before on my YouTube streams. But escaping these guys right now. Look at this though. Look how aggressive it's got. Look. And I didn't manage to keep them up there, and the pens at the bottom filled up. It will just get hard at this point. The game is loud. It's quite loud. I don't know if it's too loud, because last time I turned the volume down and I tried watching back the replay and it was too quiet. I turned it down a little bit, so I don't know. I have moved a few things around too on the setup, so it might be that the microphone's a little bit further away now and have to compensate for that. I don't know. Technical issues of a streamer. It's loud. It's got good music though, so you know I think it's a good one to have loud. That's my excuse. There. Yeah, I mean, Zachariah were mainly known for their pinball machines, which obviously have a lot of audio and tunes in them as well, so I think that's why this game ended up with so much in the way of music. Every stage got a different little tune. Classical music, classical tunes, and things like that. Well-known tunes. But, all really, really well done. It's good to have a game from '83 with a good variety in the audio, you know, a wide variety of tunes. With so many games at this point, maybe they have sound effects, maybe they have one tune, or just not quite on this level. I think that helps it stand out. Loose bouncing boards, like bang. Except now I've got the... Yeah, now it's going to go very fast. No. So, any suggestions for games I should look at from people in the chat? I'm quite happy to take the odd suggestion if there's any games that you'd like to see. Definitely going to be on this one for much longer. I can do something slightly newer. Wait. Now, this is one game I have actually seen on real hardware when I was in Italy. I mean, I guess that's the obvious place you're going to see it. Rather than anywhere else, but it was nice to see it on real hardware. That's it, game over, isn't it? Yeah, it's game over. Didn't do as well on that credit. But yes, Cat and Mouse is a game I wholly recommend if you've never played it. And again, why I want to feature it on one of these infrequent Twitch streams, because if you see this on catch up, you've got people that might not be on my YouTube might be seeing this, and they might not have seen anybody play it, because I don't think it's a game that people are just going to pick out and play without knowing about it. So what else should we look at? Okay, let's just look at a prototype. This has been done for ages. This is the Mr. Do prototype, when Mr. Do wasn't a clown yet. Oddly, they must have been thinking about the clown theme, because that title is very circus. But in this version of Mr. Do, he's this sort of farmer-like snowman. and there's lots of differences to the AI. The audio too is different. It is a much earlier version of the game. Obviously, the basic rules are all intact. Well, there you go. See the way it explodes there. But if you know how to play the release version of Mr. Do, and you know how the enemies behave, and then you come to this one, it's quite a little shock. Even the way the bonus items works is a bit different. But I guess a lot of the ideas were already in place, and the game is fully playable. It doesn't feel like a demo, it just feels different. Random Mr. Do trivia is, you see the levels layouts are basically the level numbers, which is kind of neat. So yeah, I think you don't have the whole train of enemies when you get the bonus items here. But yeah, if it's one of those prototypes that is worth studying, because you know you can easily overlook a prototype. You can just think it's just going to be a buggier, less finished version of a game. But sometimes the prototypes are just games that were finished and they went, no, we want to tweak this a bit, we want to change this a bit. We don't like how it plays, we don't like how it looks or sounds, so you get cases like this. Got the this looks like a peanut almost, doesn't it? I don't know. I guess I can see why they went with the clown in the end, because it's more obvious what it is, whereas this character, yeah. The thing in the middle, when the bonus creature appears, does also freeze the enemies, which you have to really use to your advantage. Still a tricky game. I suppose if you know how to play it, it's not, but if you're me and you don't really have a solid strategy. I don't know, a lot of people don't like clowns though, so maybe a clown wasn't the best choice for the final game. But, who knows? I know Neo Mr. Do's got a re-release on the Neo Geo. Alright, Mr. Fungi, take care, and I'll maybe catch you later. I don't anticipate this going on for very long. It's just a, say, mini thing to keep the account active with. There's diamond already. The diamond's good. Diamond's worth a lot of points. In this case, I think they're worth an extra credit, yeah. There you go. See, that's very circus. The circus undertones were already here, even though it looks like this guy is more of a farmer. It makes more sense that he's shoveling the dirt. I don't know. I don't know if there's a official history of how these changes happened. But as I was saying, there was a re-release of Neo Mr. Do on the Neo Geo with a completely different title, and the Mr. Do name stripped out of it entirely, because I guess I think it's Pixel Heart re-releasing it. Must have been able to get the Mr. Do license, but not they could get the license to the Neo Mr. Do game, but not Mr. Do character license. So they had to re-release the game without it being called Mr. Do. I'm assuming it's just like a graphic hack of the ROM. Obviously, I don't see anybody dumping it anytime soon. Now, I definitely prefer this over Dig Dug. A lot of people will compare the games and go, oh, they're very, very similar, but they're not. I mean, Dig Dug does have you digging through dirt still, but in Dig Dug, the pace is entirely different. You're chasing enemies around to pump them up with your foot pump thing, and explode them, and then they run away after a while. This seems to have more going on. There's more ways to score, more ways to end the levels, almost more strategy to me. I'm not saying Dig Dug's a bad game, I just missed to do. And I think you find everybody has got an opinion on that one if they played both. And maybe Mr. Do, because Mr. Do's universal, and obviously they didn't quite reach the same highs as Namco and Namco characters. I mean, Mr. Do never became as famous as Pac-Man. I got that free credit. It would be rude not to use the free credit I've been given, actually. But yeah, that's. There are not many games that do that, where they'll give you a free credit. It's a mechanic that was clearly tried early on in some games. Rather than giving you a bonus points, they will literally give you 1 extra credit, so you can start the game again. It's almost something you see in some early fruit machines too. They'll give you like a free game, which is just like another spin. So maybe that's the background for that mechanic. I don't know. Just feel odd that they just don't give you a load of bonus points, but I guess players weren't going to complain. Operators might have complained more. People getting free games. What's the matter with that? No chance. I've not managed to get all the extra letters at any point. I don't really got far enough to show what happens when you get those. It's nice it has these little intermissions too. I mean, that was definitely a thing around this time. Pac-Man had them, and I think games like Pac-Man, yeah, they were a big influence. Not just in the ways people think of though, but in terms of things like that, in terms of things like the cutscenes. I mean, were there other games doing cutscenes before Pac-Man? I don't know, but Pac-Man definitely made the whole idea of cutscenes every few levels a more famous concept. I personally can't think of any early ones that do it, but I don't know for sure. So yeah, that was a little bit of the prototype version of Mr. Do, which is definitely worth checking out. Go for something more of a knockoff game now. A Spanish game from Nix. Now Nix are maybe more famous for Pirates, which was on the same hardware. This is one of the games, along with Pirates, that I'm surprised has not been licensed for any of the recent retro packs or anything like that. So I'm surprised it's not ended up on something like the Evercade or anything like that, but maybe they can't track the developers down, I really don't know. But this one is it's a Pang style game, so hopefully they do a bit better at this than I did at Pang when I was playing on the Amstrad the other day. But it's a nice colourful 90s game, and yeah, it implements basic mechanics of Pang rather well. The push scroll is maybe a bit too close to the edge of the screen, so you can't see much when you're scrolling, but it's not a major issue. I mean, if you don't know Pang, the original, it's a bit like Asteroids but with gravity. You shoot things, the balls in this case, they split in half, and then you shoot them again, they split in half again, and you have to clear them all. But you've got power-ups to change how your gun works, and you can cause it to get stuck to the ceiling, and you've got shield. But yeah, you're losing energy in this case. Oh, and you've got to jump in this one too, which is a little bit awkward. I think the Monsters World hack of Super Bang added a jump mechanic. So you've got energy rather than lives here, so that wasn't too clever. So ideally I want to get rid of these ones here before I release the ones in the middle there. So some careful shooting would help, although there's a timer. I have to be careful of the timer, I have to mind that. But that power lets you do two things at once. So, oh. And the plunger thing means it sticks at the top of the screen if it gets that far. So yeah, I guess because Pang exists and everybody knows Pang, people don't have much reason to play a knockoff of it today. But I don't know. I think it deserves a look in of its own. Pang itself as a concept did evolve quite a bit over the course of the official games as well, with much more puzzle-like elements being introduced later on, so maybe some of the earlier efforts feel a little primitive. I mean, this has got like maze-like structures to the level, so it's not super simple. Probably needed that extra energy, because yeah, it's... time. There we go. 5 of 49. That's an odd number of stages to have. And now we've got gun. Now it's turned into secret obliteration on the Amiga. He's managed to die with the gun. Okay. Let's continue. It's quite busy. I've done that though. I do like the gun. The problem is you tend to not watch out for danger enough when you're using the gun. You tend to assume it's going to blast everything when it does have holes in the spread there, so if you're not careful, balls will still land on you. Come on, before the time was up. There we go. There we go.
Bravo!
Field. Energy. More energy. Considering energy is basically your lives, it's quite generous in giving you energy powers in this, compared to like games where you struggle to ever see a one-up. Come on.
Well done.
Now we appear to have gone to a nighttime scene. Yeah, that doesn't mean you can stick it on the ceiling and then run off safely. I think that's just points. Bag of gold usually is. Oh no, it says energy. Well, that would just be points. Oh, what's the badge? More energy. I think they know it's kind of a tough game. Diamond's energy too. So I don't think this has bosses or anything like that, although I could be wrong. What am I doing? I need to shoot the bottom. I do, don't I? It's not quite how you meant to finish the level.
Bravo!
Stage 8. Obviously now I've jumped off there, I can't get back up there. But yeah, I mean, Nyx didn't do many games. I think they were also responsible for the really awful Fit of Fighting bootleg of Art of Fighting and Pirates. And not much else, surprisingly. Clearly they could make good games. I thought there were some of the better Spanish games, Pirates and Genix Family, this one. But not much else to their name. Both original games, from what I can tell, too. They might be copying concepts, but I think they're all coded from scratch. I don't think they're borrowing any code or reusing, you know, stealing anything. They do seem original in terms of the code base and the hardware. Also, the every single ROM on them has address line swaps and data line swaps. So they took a bit of descrambling, these ones. Although both games use the same scramble from memory. But anyway, so this was Genix Family. Very respectable clone of Pang, really. So, yeah, 1994. So maybe a little late. I mean, by 1994, the font use is clearly stolen from Fatal Fury. That doesn't surprise me too much. That doesn't surprise me too much out of DSC. You did see a lot of font reuse across games. It wasn't uncommon. I mean, and sometimes even, you know, little bits of sound reused. I mean, if we look at another Spanish game, Diver Boy, some of these sounds here are clearly stolen from Tumble Pop. But, this is Upside Down Bomb Jack if you've never played it. Some rather bad sound loops in this one, which is a shame because again this is actually a fun game, just let down by some of the production values really. Upside Down Bomb Jack as a concept is absolutely fine. Obviously, while Bomb Jack has the lit bombs for extra points, this has the open clamshells. We've got a power up there that open them all. Those are the ones that you get the better items out of and the most points for. Super bonus. But I do prefer to play lesser known games on these streams, and in general, just to highlight them really. Just, it's be very easy to overlook them. Or just have seen the titles and not really know what they are, and just assumed that they might not be that interesting. But there's a good fun game in this one, in Diver Boy here. Requires a similar sort of strategy as a Bomb Jack. You even got even when you're ascending, you can tap the button, just like Bomb Jack can sort of float, hover. But in this case, you're hovering to go upwards rather than downwards, to maintain your depth rather than your altitude. Let's go over here. Pick it up. Now the red ones you can't get until you've triggered another one that opens them. It does force the ordering a little bit in that sense. So you've got this power up which is just lets you murder everything. And then you have to use it on the boss, which is really awkward. I don't really know why they went for this. You know, random submarine shooter section. As long as you keep out the way of the missiles, you're generally good. That sounds obvious, but yeah, play it safe rather than try and go in too quickly. Try and rush this and you will just die. Yeah, I think you can die after you killed it too, so keep that in mind. The map reminds me of Tasmania on the Mega Drive too. I guess maps aren't that uncommon, but I guess that's also an island where it's showing you where you're going. So I've got to collect the... Oh, yeah, I got octopus. Okay, let's just continue. I could just do that to the octopus. There you go, I got another letter. Shield, I think. Those. Oh, that's not going to give any power. I think this is probably a good game to score though, unless there's some scoring exploit in it, because it does retain that bomb jack design, where you know you can go for the easy points, or you can go for the more difficult ones and get things in the right order, and that always leads to good scoring opportunities, especially in this case because you get the things and then you get the treasure as well. It could be there's some really bad balancing issues to win the game, but on the surface it feels like one that should have a solid scoring system. So, what the yellow ones you have to go over once to open them up, and then you go over them again to collect them. No. I'm gonna get the letters. I'm not sure why. It's not like I'm gonna do well enough to get to the bonus stage. There we go. Out of the water again. I got shocked. No, I'm not taking my time here. I'm trying to rush it. Which is pointless because I don't think there is a time limit. There we go. Maybe there's a hurry up mechanic after a while, but it's not strict like in some games. No. Oh. I wonder how different this game would feel if you flipped the screen and played it upside down so it actually felt more like Bomb Jack. Would it feel more natural, or would it just feel weird? I think if you shake the joystick you can get those the octopus off you, but I failed to do that anyway. That was a bit of Diver Boy. Say another Spanish production. So, where now? Let's go with a Soviet game. This is Python. We don't even know when it was released. We don't even know who made it. That's a good start, isn't it? Yeah. This is one I actually really enjoy. It's a sort of Snake clone, but you're going after the hares. It does have kind of terrible production values, I should expect from a random Soviet game. Come on. So, they're obviously trying to steal all the turnips or carrots or whatever they are. And you have got to go and gobble them up. Very primitive hardware. I mean, it's not much better than, say, one of our 8-bit computers, if that. And it's very likely this was near the end of the 80s, but You don't want to eat those yourself. That's one of it. So you have to keep in mind. Trap myself there. Yes, the game struggles with the music when you're moving. You know, I guess if you ignore the very rough production values, there is a fun snake game to be had here. If you can't ignore the production values, then yeah, you're gonna hate this. But, you know, there aren't any other games that play quite like this, which is one of the reasons I play this one. You know, you've got to eat, you know, stop the enemy from eating all the carrots or whatever they are, while also eating them, and avoiding what they're trying to eat. It's a unique mix of snake and, well, protect them up. And considering this would have been made in a country that didn't really have a proper arcade scene, they had some arcade games, as we've seen, but they were not at the forefront of technology or anything. They still had some games that are interesting and hold up alright in terms of, you know, fun. Yes, you can strategically trap them as well to eat them, which is probably the idea. Yes, we started the stream playing a cute hopping bunny, and now we're eating them. So, yes. No, I've not gone mad. I do genuinely like it. I mean, I think this concept could be expanded and put into a better game. I don't know how I'm meant to get this one though, unless he comes out of here. There we go. Yeah. Lure him out. Come on. So if you see the eating animation, you know they're eating the one on the square they are, so that usually means it's safe to actually go on that square. Which is handy to know. Obviously, otherwise you can't see what's on the square. Like that. Got caught out that time. And that time. Probably won't play this for too long because I can imagine the audio is going to annoy people who want a nice, pleasant, easy listening experience. But I'll play this live and then we'll see what happens. Leave you alone for now. I'm surprised nobody's remade this for like the Spectrum or the CPC actually, or the C64 even. I mean, it'd be a pretty easy port, I think, to the Spectrum or the CPC, because I think it's even Z80 based. Yeah, it does have a Spectrum feel to it, but I think the hardware is slightly more capable than the Spectrum, at least in standard mode. Because you look at these the carrots, and they've got like 4 colours on them. They've got the red, the green top, the black, and the green background. So I think it's slightly more capable than the Spectrum. But you could easily do a port of this to, say, the CPC, I'm sure. I ran out of energy or time or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a fun little one, say from one of the Soviet countries. At some point, likely in the 80s, I'm going to guess probably the end of the 80s, even though, it, you know, if you talk about the game scene, arcade game scene outside of that area, you've got things like CPS1 around the same time. But yes, there were quite a few cute bunnies devoured, weren't there? Shut up, Atom, and welcome, Shut up, Atom. It's good to see some first-time chatters, so welcome, welcome. Say the same for Alpha DSC there, and yeah, so good to see you. Now, I don't think there's even a track mode. This is how primitive. The machine would just sit on this screen until somebody inserted a coin, which can't have been good for the whole screen burn issue. But again, it wasn't a huge scene over there, so the fact these exist at all is kind of nice, at least for me. And I do like to play it every now and again just to show it off, because I can't see anybody else going out of the way to play it otherwise. Let's have a look at some early SNK. This is not one I really play much of. Vertical view. This is Jumping Cross, 1984 SNK game. Joystick and 2 buttons. Okay. So. Yep. So it's a bit bump and jumpy, but going around the track at the same time. And if you're on a jump, you use your jump and get ahead, I guess. There's a little bit of excite bike as well. But again, an SNK game that doesn't really get talked about or played much. I think once SNK did the Neo Geo, that's all people seem to remember, apart from maybe some of the later 68K based games. A lot of SNK's 8-bit history is all but forgotten. I know there was a compilation out with a lot of SNK games on in recent years, but still seem very niche, very overlooked. You know, before they went all out, oh, let's do fighting games and more fighting games and more fighting games. And they had a few entertaining little concepts. I think this is one of them. Did I make it? I made it. Could have done with a noise on that bonus counter there. Round 2. But yeah. Again, I guess Bump and Jump is one of those games that must have influenced a lot of other games. Normally had things like Overdrive that felt similar. Capcom had quite a few, including the likes of LED Storm later on, Mad Gear. And SNK had this whole ramming cars off the road, or bikes in this case, has an appeal to it. Konami also did Hyperdrive, which we looked at fairly recently. That was behind the camera perspective, behind the car. Even. Now I noticed that when I land on the enemies, it is tallying it up at the bottom. Oops. That wasn't very good. I think that's what they call course out. Yeah, the sprites are good on this. This is a good game. I mean, some of SNK's output at this point was a bit rough, but this one holds up better than some of the others. It shouldn't be overlooked. They've got that Gladiator game, Gladiator Gladiator with a year after it, as opposed to Taito's Gladiator. That's a good one too. The Neo Geo didn't even get really a sequel to this. It got Crash Rally from ADK, well that's a rally game. Okay. I didn't get as many enemies this time, but I'm sure we don't have to. I don't think there's a requirement. Yeah, I think the frantic music's to try and make the game seem faster than it is. And it's an 8-bit game, so you don't have that many frames of animation, but I think that, again, they've gone for trying to make it frantic. The very quick roll you do. It's meant to be sort of cartoony. And not too serious, so the exaggerated jumps. I think they've pulled it off well, actually. I got apple bombed, I think. There are a set number of lives too, so it's not just a case of failing courses. You run out of lives because that happens, then I think that's the most likely way to game over. You do have to finish the course at any time, but that doesn't seem to be the main obstacle. It's almost an early isometric racer at times too when you're on the diagonals. Even though this is more side-on, it suddenly goes kind of isometric when you're going the other way. The perspective is odd. But it works. Maybe it lets you play a little longer. I would have thought it would have killed me off by now, but it's go too soon. Yeah. I crashed into a rock, I think, and that is my live up. So that was a bit of Jumping Cross from SNK. Not even top of the high score table. 1984, very, very acceptable, maybe even a good game for 1984. It's hard to say these days, but I think, well, I would have been 3 at the time, so I don't really know. I would have probably been impressed if I was old enough to play it. Not one I play very often either, but guess that's why I do these streams as well, just so that I get to play some of these games every now and again that sometimes I might overlook for no good reason. Okay. Let's go with one of the recently emulated Taiko games. This is Taiko no Tatsujin RT, which is a special version they did for basically care homes, which is quite an odd thing. What the input set to? Just try and do some sort of sensible inputs. Was that not in the pre-Neo Geo SNK collection? That surprises me. Oh, yeah, the PlayStation games are quite loud, so let's turn this down a bit. So this doesn't accept coins because it wasn't made for an environment where they use coins. So you just start the game. But yeah, apart from the first Taiko game, which still hasn't been dumped, all the ones on Namco System 10 do work now. So we can choose... So this is like a really, really easy version of the game. Seems I've got it in 2-player mode. I don't know why. I didn't really want 2 players. But yeah. Now I did recently buy the games in the series that are on the Switch as well, because there's the RPG one that we only got as sort of code in a box over here, but did get a physical in Japan, so I picked up the physical version of that. But as you can see, this is just really relaxing, really slow paced compared to the proper game. It's just, it's for rehabilitation. It's really meant for people who are struggling to move, who want to try and get some, you know, some ability back in their arms. So it's quite nice that Namco made it. Obviously, they made it because it would make money, but not in the traditional sense. They were selling these, I think, outright or renting them rather than, you know, the operator being expected to make money on coins. But yes, it's nice to have them emulated. It all came together very, very quickly because these seemed out of reach for so long, and then suddenly System 10 emulation started happening. The disk images and the ROMs for several of them turned up, and at this point, we say we're only missing the first game. The later ones on like PlayStation 2 hardware and stuff like that, they don't run yet, but that's expected. You know, MAME is not anywhere near doing PlayStation emulation. But yeah, this one is about my ability level when it comes to these games. I enjoy them, but I'm terrible at them. Like any of the music games, even those plug-and-play guitars I was emulating. Yeah, anything with easy difficulty, I don't stand a chance. Like the pop era games too, they're lovely, especially when you use all the extra cartridges, you know, for the more songs. You've got a really great little game there, great music game. But any of the songs that are more than 3-star difficulty, I don't stand a chance of playing. This player 2 didn't do much. Yeah, the songs in this are all very, very slow like that. I don't think there are any fast-paced ones. There's even a free drum mode where I think there is no song and you can just hit the drums. But yeah, it's nice to have it emulated. I'll find one more song, I think. And when I did the YouTube stream on this one, it didn't come up with any copyright matches on the songs either, which was good because that's always annoying when that happens. And the presentation's a bit more limited on this one too. It's actually a really small game. It doesn't have a fancy intro like some of the other ones. It's minimal, but I like that it exists, and it's impressive this one was found. Oh, hey, Lord Dalek TV, thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. You're subscribed as tier 1. You might be the first subscription in a long time on here. So thank you. It is much appreciated. So right, let's maybe the other one's slightly harder. I can't read Japanese, so I don't actually know what the menus say. Looks like, yeah, you probably are. I don't really say. I don't use this all that much. But they're all we do have like 2-star difficulties. So let's do one of the 2-star ones. Let's say. Well, I don't have any special rewards or cake or anything else. If you've got a game request, I can try and have a look at it. You say even this 2-star difficulty one is easy. I didn't accidentally start a 2-player game this time either, which is probably better. Easy so far. Yeah, I don't think these get difficult because they say they're meant for like care homes and hospitals and things like that. If I was to put the proper Taiko game on, it would be much more difficult. This is meant to be feel good. You know, or, you know, I remember playing Taiko back in the day when I was more flexible and younger. Iron Man of Taiko. I'm not the Iron Man of Taiko. I'm definitely not a professional. I know there are a lot of people who are really, really good at these games, like any music game. And you watch videos of them, it's like, don't miss a note, but note, hit. Hey, John Rorgy, or John Rorge, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Anyway, so yes, I think that's enough of a little bit of Taiko there. What should we move on to next? Let's quit out that one. Don't think we need to see the game over screens anymore. Go for obscure. Let's go for this one. Another Spanish game, I think. You felt bad for selling the drums. I guess they do take up a fair bit of space, don't they? They're quite big from memory. I didn't really know much about the series until it was emulated. I don't think... Had we not emulated System 10, I don't think I would have gone out of my own way to buy any of the games. Like I said, I bought the Switch ones recently because I just wouldn't have been sure if I'd enjoyed them. But then after playing, say, those ones on MAME, I thought, actually, I quite like this. I might not be good at them, but I quite like them. I don't know what it is with Spanish companies and starting with the GA. Not all of them do. So this is an odd ping pong game because you don't really have much control. There are times when it doesn't feel like you can move your bat. It sort of auto moves to a point. It's hard to describe. And it's no Konami ping pong, but it's actually still pretty good. The AI gets really, really aggressive though. I think I did record a YouTube video of me completing it, and I had to play it in super slow motion, and reload loads of states just to try and beat the AI because it gets so aggressive late on. But yeah, I mean, there's a few decent ping pong games. Speed Spinner's another Spanish one that's actually pretty good. That's from TCH, developed by ProUcell, I think, or maybe I don't know. There's a ProUcell connection in, but I don't know if ProUcell developed it. There we go. I won that one. It definitely has a very Euro look, doesn't it? With this sampled sound and this pre-rendered backgrounds and the announcers.
1-0.
And this is quite a weird piece of hardware. Yeah, and you've got a limit. You know, if you run out of missed shots, the live counters at the top, then you get the continue screen, regardless of what the current match score is. So you know that is your complete. You've got limited lives rather than it being a case of lose or win the match. A lot of these were devved on Amigas, yeah. I mean, if you look at the recently emulated Mortal Racing Top Driving, you get to the end credits and it's got a picture of the guys holding up an Amiga 1200 with an A1200 forever text on the screen. So, yeah, the Spanish community did like to develop things on Amigas. I've heard that story. Amigas and PCs at the time. Amiga was definitely a big thing. Yeah, I don't know if all the Galaco games were developed on Amiga. Yeah, the hardware here is a blitter rather than anything else, and it took a bit of figuring out because it seemed like the game was trying to write over the ROM area and things like that, but in fact it uses the write offset as one of the parameters. Which might sound weird, but I guess it saves them having to actually write a separate value. They just write a value to an address, and the address is one parameter, and the value is the other parameter. Yeah, that wasn't obvious at first to me, but it's something that these days I keep an eye out for on other games if I'm emulating and they don't make sense. It's like maybe these random addresses that it's writing to have a meaning more so than the value itself. Look, fancy different building with Olympic rings. The Open Cup. And a different colour table. Look at all those Spanish companies up there. We've got Electronic Devices of Italy. We've got Gamart, I think the Spanish company developed it. I don't know who Galaxy are. Probably another licensee. Okay, yeah, we're not going to play too much of this because it is just ping pong, but it's a decent, fast-paced ping pong game. It's just hidden away under the name Table Tennis Champions. And, it's actually worth a look. The other game on this kind of hardware is a game called Spider, which is also an interesting one. It's a kind of a Kicks knockoff, but you're uncovering the pictures you uncover are not what you expect. They're not adult pictures. And then there's a PC port of that game where it is adult. So I don't know if there's a missing arcade version of Spider where it has adult pictures, but it's one of those odd situations. We're not going to play Spider today because I don't feel like playing Spider. It's a sound effect from Action Hollywood. Yeah, it's probably the same developers. Different hardware, but very easily could be the same developers. Anyway, I think we've seen enough of Table Tennis Champions for now. I don't mind. I don't really mind it. I quite like it. I'm not going to spend too long playing it, but I think, again, as far as these random Spanish games go, this one's pretty good. It would fit well on a modern compilation if anybody gets a license for it. I can't complain about it. So, where shall we go now? I'll probably do another like half an hour or so. Let's go with Rip Off Central. SWAT Police. This is one of the ones I enjoyed seeing when we got emulated the most, because everything in this game is traced from somewhere else or stolen from somewhere else. It is utterly ridiculous. Right down to the title shield there, the poses of the guys on the title screen, everything. The backgrounds are all from somewhere else. Yeah, the Judge Dread badge. That's, I think, from Aggressors of Dark Combat. Is the map from Final Fight? Or is it... yeah, Fatal Fury, that's the one. Fatal Fury. Everything in this game is stolen from somewhere. Look, that looked like a very Metal Slug explosion, didn't it? But, you know, if you ignore all the stolen content, what you've actually got here is still a very playable crosshair shooter. They made a good game just with assets they didn't own. But then they put a considerable amount of effort into tracing some of the assets. They're not just straight up rips, they're redrawn versions, just clearly based off other sprites. Yeah, it's a Cabal clone. Just scrolling a bit, I think. Yeah, it's a Cabal clone. You can't shoot down the buildings, so in that sense it's not quite Cabal, because one of the things with Cabal is just the level of destruction. But it's still a crosshair shooter, yes. Guy looks like he has to pee. Yeah, there's no cover and there's nothing to destroy. There's a shop. Let's get some boots and pow. Stage 2. See, now it's scrolling. And I think this is the Burning Fight background, isn't it? Yeah. You will find... I saw somebody who went through the entire game and just identified where basically everything came from this. I think all the enemies are ripped from other games or traced from other games too. It's funny. Yeah, they clearly had decent programmers, because it plays well. That's what I'm saying. You see a lot of these games with terrible ripped sprites, and they just don't play well. And this does. So, a super tiny guy. Yeah, this perspective is a bit odd, isn't it? They're meant to be further away and they're the same size. There's quite a few games that do that. I think some of the home ports of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles do that. You've got like April O'Neil in the background, and she must be like 10 foot tall compared to the turtles. Yeah, could we have done a lot worse? We could have a look at a lot worse at some point, but I don't know. We could have a look at the Destroyer from jail. Now that's a game. I don't know. Ooh. Good time. Bam! Bomb spam! Bomb spam! Oh, they died. Yeah, you do have to actually try and roll out the way of things, and not just bomb spam the boss. You can just bomb spam the boss, but you just have to. Death animations traced from NAM. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Those photos are probably from somewhere too. Some more bombs. Spend all my points on bombs. This is another Neo Geo background, I think. It's Capcom background. Can't remember. I think there was some Street Fighter Alpha content in here too somewhere, but. We'll play this credit anyway, and then we'll move on. But yeah, if you want to just go through the game itself and just laugh at how many things are stolen and see if you can find out where they're stolen from, it's a fun little thing to do, in addition to just playing the game. It's one I'm glad we emulated. I do like these crosshair shooters in general. That probably helps my opinion. Anyway. We have died. We have died, we have died, we have died. What's that image? ESD. Right, what next? Yeah, try to ideate all the robots too. I'm sure you'll find everything eventually. Okay. We had to look at Mr. Do, the prototype earlier. And let's have a look at a weird version of Dig Dug instead. Okay. So this is Zig Zag. And it's noteworthy because while it might look like Dig Dug and it might steal graphics from Dig Dug, this game was programmed from scratch. This does not use any Dig Dug code. It's one of those weird games that I think was distributed by Taito do Brazil, and they did this quite a lot. I don't know if it says LAX instead. It might just be a, you know, that we don't have the Taito do Brazil version, but yeah, I don't think there's a track mode, so there's no proper demo. It just loops this over and over and over. One way you can immediately tell that it's not the real thing, but yeah, it looks on the surface like the right game, but as soon as you start playing it, you realise it doesn't play like it. It plays like a port of it, which is what it basically is. Somebody looking at the game and remaking it, but just with the original graphics. Yeah, I think they probably are from the SNES and something like that. But yeah, if you used to play in the original Dig Dug, and then you try and play this, you will find that all your timings are off and everything else, because nothing's quite the same. It does a fairly convincing job, but once you start to break it down, you realise, yeah. Now, there are quite a few games like this. I mean, there's things like Pong in MAME as well, which looks on the surface like Donkey Kong, but is not. It doesn't use any Donkey Kong code. It's a very strange period of people doing that. Because if you're going to bootleg all the graphics, steal all the graphics, and you're going to run it on hardware that is very similar anyway, like the Z80 processor, why not just go the whole hog and just bootleg the whole thing? Partially bootlegging it doesn't make it any more legal. You know, if you've stolen the graphics and you've stolen the gameplay idea, writing your own code is not going to save you from Namco. If they care. I'm not sure they ever did care for this. Because I don't think there's so much distribution outside of places like Brazil. Now, oddly, there is another Dig Dug clone called Zig Zag, which is just Dig Dug. It's just a title hack of Dig Dug, which obviously is not quite as interesting. Yeah, that's kind of how it's best to view these. They're like home computer ports. Because they did rewrite the game. Except they were targeting the arcades, not home computers. But you will notice all the AIs are a little bit off. Yeah, it's a rewrite. The difficulty scaling definitely seems different to me. Progression is not quite the same. It's a bit like the Magnet System games, they're rewrites, although they're not very well done rewrites. Imagine I was going to try and show one of those. Not prepared that properly. That'll have to be another time. Discs for things like Double Dragon on the Magnet System did show up recently, but I don't think the dumps are any good, or at least I couldn't get them running. But I'm sure a Double Dragon on the Magnet System would be glorious. Not in a good way. That was clever. But yeah, there's other weird things, like there's a version of Galaxian on Space Invaders type hardware. Again, it's a rewrite. There's a Time Pilot one they did. Anyway, death animations might be smoother than the actual Dig Dug. I'd be surprised, but I can't say for sure. Just a shame they don't have in the track mode, because the track modes make all the difference. You know, that's not very impressive, that part. Bit lazy. Okay. So what we got? We got about about 25 minutes left to play a few games. So this is one that I almost put on the zooming list, although it is a fake pre-drawn zoom. This is Sky Destroyer from Taiko, a game that a lot of people are surprised to find has an arcade version. Well, no idea what a game is without an attract loop either. It could very easily just be a gambling game, for example. And the last thing you want to do is have a game that just has no attract sequence, you don't know what it is. You put in a coin, you find it like it's video poker. It's happens quite often though. So yeah, this had a very famous NES port, but the arcade is much less known. I mean, games. There's some games that don't have attract demos that are really surprising. NAM 1975 on the Neo Geo, first Neo Geo game, does not have an attract demo. It doesn't show any gameplay, at least. And the Neo CD port fixed that and has gameplay, but the arcade original has no attract gameplay. Yeah, heavily bootlegged Famicom port. I think that's where most people know it from. The fact that the Famicom port got so heavily bootlegged. Whereas the arcade version is much less known. Nice, nice fake sort of rotation effect. It's obviously not afterburner. Not going to do a full loop, but it's pretty good. I'm not very good at using these missiles to get the torpedoes to get the boats. That's more of an advanced skill, I think. Yeah, you can see the influence on afterburner. Taiko got a lot of games that's got overlooked. I've talked about Super Dead Heat before, the 4-player racing game that's got a lot of ideas that would become much more popular in Atari's Super Sprint and Championship Sprint. Things like the buying upgrades. I don't think I've ever managed to get the boat. Oh, I think maybe I got a boat there in the distance without trying. It was a lucky shot. And shot down. It doesn't have real scaling, it's fake scaling. They're all pre-drawn. I mean, it's still another example of a game that implements that in a fake way, which is kind of neat. But no, it's not scalar hardware. There is a scalar sort of dogfight type game from Data East, which is what Zero Target, but that really doesn't work properly in MAME yet. That's a mess. I could show that briefly, but you can't play it. It just feels like it takes so long for the torpedo missiles to do anything. Don't know how you meant to aim at a ship that's still moving. I got shot down. I'm not sure, Lord Dalek TV. Yeah, it's a fairly simple game, this. It doesn't do a whole lot, but might be why the arcade's not so well known. It probably works better as an early NES game, Famicom game, than an arcade. I think you want a bit more from the arcade games in terms of, variety and action. It still feels like this could be, running on one of the NES platforms. But Taito's first game with FM chips. Wouldn't surprise me. It's one of those with I think a bunch of weird MCUs controlling things. But we've got complete dead moments here. There's an island. Oh. Going down. I think we start the stage again because the island's gone. Can't shoot the ship. You can do this. You can actually plunge yourself into the water though, which is a very silly thing to do. Both engines caught fire that time. Oh dear. When was this from? This is from 85. I don't know, 85 for the first FM chip seems a bit late. I'm not sure then. I would have thought they would use FM chips before 85. No, it's 85. Same year as Space Harrier. I guess the maybe Space Harrier is the influence on the ground here. Yeah. I don't know. It does have a little bit of a Space Harrier look, doesn't it? I don't know if that's just coincidence because that's the easiest way to do a ground like that, or if there was some connection in terms of they saw what was being developed. Well, yeah, 85. I think there would have been FM games before that, I'm sure. So what shall we do? What shall we do? Here's one that I don't play much. Garyo Retsuden. So, walk along data shooty thing. Yeah, Cycle Mahou is actually really good. That has an into the screen bit too, actually, which was fixed a couple of years ago in MAME. Before that, the controls didn't really work in it. So yeah, I just thought I'd go with a data shooter that I think doesn't always get much attention. You've got to keep running around because everything's out to get you, too. Like most of these things. It's a little bit commando, isn't it? Character select screen seemed like it's on a different game. Maybe the art style didn't quite fit, did it? The not Karnov got me. Have I glitched it? I'm not sure what... There seems to be a dragon tail flying around after I scrolled the dragon back off the top of the screen. I'm not sure that's meant to happen. But it might just be the game. From Warriors of Fate to gain ground. Trick Track's an odd one. I've never quite got on with that game. It could be a main bug. It could be a main bug. I'm not ruling it out. I mean, this does have an MCU. Maybe there's a problem with the MCU triggering and I kind of confused it. I don't know. I have to see how repeatable that is. I know how fragile some of these MCU culprits can be, though, and I know Data East do like to tie some of them to enemy spawning in other games, so I can't rule it out. Yeah, I think it's set in the same time period, isn't it, as Warriors of Fate? So, kind of makes sense. It's just once you get the in-game art style, it doesn't quite look the same. Okay. Do this forest. I don't know why I got spacesuit though. I guess it's not meant to be. It looks more like a spacesuit. I know it's not meant to be a spacesuit, but it looks more like a spacesuit. Looks like I've gone like full Ultraman or something. Just wanna be. Can I not pick? Oh, I can't pick up the carrot thing. Yeah. Lots of tigers. Ooh, two-headed tigers. I'm just glad these corner things aren't breathing fire, to be honest, because that would be very nasty. Oh, did I die? I died. That is a game over. That is a game over. It does look like Ultraman, that's what I was thinking. Okay, it's game over. I get this game over. I think I could control the enemy firing when it was game over, which was weird. Well, there you go. Now, the title screen and the game graphics don't quite match, do they? But, what was that? Knock off Link with an X? I don't know. Anyway. Shall we stick with similar? Maybe. Let me just have a look at my list. Just vertical, I think it is. Another Data East game. Gondomania. I mean, they changed that Ghostbusters game significantly before it became Ghostbusters. So, yeah, hold on. Input settings, analog settings. It's already on speed 1, okay. So everybody will talk about, you know, Midnight Resistance as being one of Data East's rotary stick shooters. This is another. This is the one that nobody talks about. Gondomania. Probably because Midnight Resistance is a much more interesting game. Although the arcade version of Midnight Resistance is kind of messy. It's one of those where it's not well optimized. You do have a forward shot too as well. I think you collect coins to actually buy the power-ups on the field, which is kind of weird. But yeah, trying to play these rotary control things without the original control scheme is a little tricky. I've not got enough money for that one, have I? Yeah, the Genesis Midnight Resistance plays a lot better. It's just a shame the Genesis doesn't have, you know, analog support. Because you do lose a bit in the translation of the control scheme, but overall, it's a much more polished, polished effort. Even some of the 8-bit ports were. They run. I mean, I think the C64 Midnight Resistance is really smooth. That's a much weaker piece of hardware, and they managed to pull it off without all the slowdowns. But I just thought, you know, we'll do some lesser played Data East while we're here. I don't think this also qualifies. Oh, I fell off again. And a lot of bullets. You wonder if Konami are aware that Deco stole their Contra flamethrower. I wasn't aware. Konami had quite a few things stolen off them, and the whole power-up system in the slap fight. This is quite annoying because that's as far up the screen as you can move, so if you're trying to dodge by moving higher up the screen, you can't. I think this is one of those where the original controller would make it much, much easier. Because you can't, you really have to be aiming at the head. I mean, I can just go with the straight ahead thing here and hope for the best. I do really like these multi-part big sprites though. You saw that with the glitch dragon in the previous game. That was multi-part, wasn't it? You're so slow. I don't know if it's because I died and lost all my power-ups. And this thing feels like a bullet sponge. But it's possible that it regains all its health whenever I die, which is a horrible thing to do. Would it work with a dual stick? No. I don't know. I don't tend to find rotary stick work very well for dual stick games. Dual sticks work very well for rotary stick games myself. But okay, let's keep playing a little bit. So at least this ship has got the secondary shot, which means I can do that. I can't afford that one. Now out of that shot. Everything is limited in this game. So now I've only got the rotary aim shot. But it says I've got daggers, but I don't know how to use them. I don't know. I can only seem to fire one type of shot anyway. If I press the other shot, I just get the red light on that thing. So, I know. I don't quite know how the weapon system works here. I think we've probably seen enough of that one anyway, but those last two games I always get confused. I get this one confused with whatever it was, Garyo Retsuden, something like that. You know the one. Garyo Retsuden, or whatever it was, the previous one. I get those two mixed up all the time. When I want to play one of them, I find the other one, and I think maybe there's something slightly similar in the visual styles, even though when you play them back to back, they're not. I don't really know. What shall we end on then? What shall we end on? Let me look over this list and pick something. Let's pick one that got some sound emulation a few months back. Red Clash by Kaneko. Now, only partial sound emulation. There were definitely meant to be some discrete explosions that aren't emulated and things like that, but it does have some sound now, for better or worse. So, this feels like a very messy game to play, if I'm honest. So it just feels like everything's just flying around aimlessly and you've got to shoot. When suddenly it just flips to this thing with a bright white background, and you're like, why? Why did you do that, game? And it's got random slowdowns. And the sounds are weird, which may be an emulation thing. But yeah. And suddenly, yeah, random things again, a planet flying around now and things diving at me. It's just a little chaotic. And there's no clear reason for anything that's happening. Very early Kaneko. In fact, this might be one of Kaneko's first. Tekken did license it, and for a long time we thought the Kaneko set was a bootleg. But then we noticed even on the Tekken set there's a Kaneko logo on the screen. You know, the little cat. But it's definitely a Kaneko game that Tekken licensed. So now the parent set is this Kaneko version, which seems to be the original version of the game. And it's suddenly wiped again. But yeah, it does feel like the game is struggling all the time. You didn't get many games this early on that had noticeable slowdowns. It tended to stay within the capabilities of the hardware a bit better. And then suddenly we've got another ship level. Because, yeah. I don't know if you can destroy the mothership, or you just, again, you just kill the waves off. Probably with the explosion sounds it would seem a bit more complete. Because when things don't go boom, it doesn't feel right to me. Now what? Okay, I think you killed it. Probably. Possibly. What? Ow. Flashing screen warning. I think that's loops. It probably loops now. It is not pleasing on the eyes when it does that. The fake sequel to Tecmo Star Force. Are you talking about Final Star Force? That was pretty bad. Are you talking 8 Forces? It was even worse. Oh, Superstar Soldier. Okay. Yeah, that's not the ones I was thinking of. Not the ones I was thinking of at all. Then. So yeah, I think we've seen all the different scenes in this. It just seems to be looping these now. So yeah, okay. That's Red Clash from Kaneko. It's nice that it's got some sounds, but you can see the little Kaneko logo in the corner, the little cat down there. That's rather cute, isn't it? They'd use that cat. They use the cat in their actual name in some of the Korean versions of the games too, for some reason. Rather than writing Neko, they put the little cat there. So anyway, this has been a stream of about 2 hours, which is, I think, what I'm going to do for the Twitch ones for now. So thank you for everybody for being here. It's good to see a nice bit of lively chat, even if it's only a handful of people. So that's all I really expect on Twitch streams for now, because I know most people on YouTube, but it's been good. I've enjoyed it. It's been quiet. I've been able to read a few more of the messages because it's been a little slow in the chat. So I guess I like that too. But yes. Anyway, thank you all, and I'm going to close this now. So I'm going to not that one, that one. So thank you everybody, and I'll probably be back on YouTube for the next one. I do want to do a part 2 of the Amstrad CPC one. I probably want to do a part 3 of the zooming games one. I've still got a few other things in the works, so we'll see. I don't know when they're going to be, but thank you everybody. Take care, and I will hopefully see you all next time, either here or on YouTube. Bye bye.